Hello, Shekhar. Welcome back. How are you doing?
Hello, Poonam. Thanks for having me. I'm very well. I'm looking forward to sharing my booth experience with you.
Thank you for your time, sharing your booth experience with us. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to a rewarding conversation. So, for those who haven't read your previous interview, please tell them about your background, your education, and professional background.
Sure. Um, so I went to a school in India, Bijpilani. Uh, it has a Goa campus. I went there and studied information systems in undergrad. After that, I worked for a year as a software engineer. Felt like I wanted to work, with the government for a while. Like really understanding how larger systems work. I started as a Prime Minister's fellow, worked in rural development for 3 years, where I helped local administrations better implement rural development schemes. At the end of my fellowship, I joined the Reserve Bank, which is India's central bank. Worked there for 4 years, primarily in banking supervision, focused around cybersecurity. And then, yeah, in 2021, I quit my job at the RBI and came to Booth to like really expand what I feel or what I know about the world and like learn more about the corporate sector, the private sector. And here I am.
So, these 2 years must have been very eventful, life defining years, isn't it?
It Yes, they have been. It's been a real it's like you've said it rightly. Like it's been a life-changing experience for me. I came to Chicago. I came to Booth expecting it to be a very like a very different experience from what I've had before, but I did not know specifically what is going to change. A lot has changed, as far as how I think about like what my weaknesses are, what my capabilities are. And then I found the resources in the University of Chicago and at Booth specifically to work on those weaknesses, to like specifically identify the weaknesses and work on them. And in Chicago, which is such a beautiful city. It has such a global, international vibe that I have like challenged myself to move out of just my limited idea of the world and like engage in like immersing myself in international cuisines, in like other experiences, like watching a play, watching a ballet, for example. So all of those things have kind of like been fun ways to learn more about yourself and the world.
Wonderful. So it's not only a professionally rewarding experience, it's a personally enriching experience also. Great.
Yes,
What
yes.
is your most favorite part of the program?
So there are quite a few. Like there is of course like a lot of people talk about Booth's flexible curriculum. Like there is a lot to like about it. The paid forward culture. Like you have a lot of career and professional development support. Chicago's beautiful location, absolutely. But what has been the most distinctive like MBA experience for me? Some like two things that I did not expect my MBA experience to have was number one, there is this program called Lead. It is a way. It is like the only mandatory program, a mandatory course at Booth. And in your second year, you get to shape the curriculum for the incoming first years, and you are essentially the teacher for that course. So I volunteered to become a lead facil, that, and then like the community that you kind of become a part of, the way like for when new students come, the way they are seeing everything, and how you are able to help them. All of those things were like had a like it was distinctive for me because I did not expect it to be so valuable. um the second like you come to school for the academic experience, but it is often not like high up in the priority list of things that are marketed when business schools talk about it. It's there is it could be put in the back burner. But because Booth is associated with the University of Chicago, which has such great academic pedigree, and Booth itself has a very distinctive like focus on the academic experience as well. I I have found, particularly once I was done with recruiting, once I had an internship offer in hand, I have found that the academic experience has also been, amazing. It has, like, so I mean, the idea at like how so when they talk about the MBA experience, there is the case, right? Like you have a case, you do a case study, and then that is how a particular lesson is delivered to you.
Right.
But at Booth, it kind of is different, where if you're studying an ethics class, you are learning why people behave unethically. Like you like the professor will kind of present evidences to you to show that this is why systems are bad. It's not people, it's systems. And then force you to apply your mind to create like an ethical system where people don't make those mistakes. This is something where you don't expect to learn psychology, sociology, like those kind of sciences to be brought into a business school classroom. And Booth does that very well. So that has been, again, another distinctive experience for me.
Wonderful. So, what do you wish you had known before you started the program? Is there anything?
Um, mm, it's actually like there could be there what I could have known, or like done differently before coming to Booth. I would say there could be, like, I can think of two things. One is, like, there is this great program called Startup Summer, where admits to, like, if you have an admission to the Booth School of Business, are you are able to participate in this program where startups that are typically founded by Booth alums, you can work with them before you start. So to get some experience that you lack, maybe, like if you have always been in finance, maybe you want marketing experience, so you take up a project where you work in marketing.
Mhm.
I feel like it would have been like great for me, because I was coming from a non-corporate, non-private sector experience.
Right.
So like so my interface with, say, a balance sheet had only been ac academics. Like it was not I had never seen a practical balance sheet and like interfaced with it. So I would have loved to do that.
Mhm.
But it was just that I was around to admit, and then I had to serve a 3-month notice period, so I just couldn't do that. But
Right.
if I could do something, I would apply in round one. Or maybe if I'm applying in round two, if I get in round two, immediately resign, immediately start working as a
Right.
in your startup summer. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
understand.
Um, yeah, I think one more thing that we probably could have better planned is, like, I am here with my wife, so my and like, so what we often think is we could have better planned her life in Chicago.
Right.
And to anybody, married, that's listening,
Mhm.
or that's watching, I think that would be an important consideration. We did we did we did plan, but it was probably not,
Enough.
like, as much as or as specific as we should have been. So it's important to know that the student is going to be very busy, particularly in their first year. um, and like the MBA has this all-encompassing hold on the student's mind. Like, you are thinking about academics, you're thinking about events, you're thinking about recruiting, you're thinking about, what you're going to do after the MBA, all of those things. Um, and your partner could fall by the wayside, because like they could feel like they are not as much a part of the journey as they want to be. So that can be challenging. It was definitely challenging for us in the beginning, in the like as soon as we came. But we
I
have
know
learned to
you're
live with
married,
it.
and that's what, sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I was also curious to know, that how is Booth community welcoming to partners of students? So how was your wife
Yeah.
participating in some activities at Booth?
Yeah. So like Booth has this. First of all, like to begin with, it is very supportive of a partner's experience, like as supportive as a school can be. Um, One thing is that as an international partner, as a partner of an international student, my wife can't work in the US. So that definitely comes with a challenge, because then what do you do? Do you also go to study? Do you just socialize? Like, what do you specifically do?
Yeah.
So Booth has a lot of resources. Most importantly, there is this club called Booth Partners Club,
Mhm.
um, where it is kind of a community of other partners of Booth students. And like, while the focus of that community is to kind of allow partners to also socialize with each other, like go, like have a life outside of what their MBA partner is having.
Exactly.
So that is the focus of that, but there is also some focus around helping the partner become or be a good like member of the community, like do some volunteering work,
Mhm.
or if needed, like share job openings which might not be relevant for international partners, but like for domestic partners there
Mhm.
might be job openings at the University of Chicago. So those kind of, so Booth Partners kind of becomes this um this platform where all of this information is shared with other partners. So my wife, I mean, so we enjoyed being members of Booth Partners a lot last year when we were first year. So my wife decided to take on a slightly more leadership role in the
Uh-huh.
second year. So she's like now one of the co-chairs of Booth Partners, and
Wow.
so that is an important element of her interface with the Booth community. um, there is also a lot of like there are a lot of clubs that Booth students can go to, sorry, Booth partners can go to. There are classes that partners can sometimes audit. A lot of partners do that, where you find that this class is interesting, it could be useful to you. You
Mhm.
can just sit in on the class, you can like attend the class and take all the learnings that your
That's
MBA.
great.
Yes.
That's wonderful that if they are allowed to attend the classes.
Yes, it's a few classes, but they are allowed to attend a few classes. Yeah.
That's great. Shekhar, another booth student I previously worked with told me that the school operates on the bidding system. That is, at the beginning of the program, students are given some points that they have to use to take some classes. So I
Yes.
would like to know how has this system worked well for you?
Yes. So the University of Chicago is like this mecca, or like this hub of free market economics, like where in its history the University of Chicago has always maintained that markets work. And the bidding system is kind of like a result of that belief, or like an out or one of the elements of that belief, where basically how you get a class is based on the demand and supply. Whether or not you get a class is based on the demand and supply for that class.
Mm.
Um, so um, so like you are allotted a few bid points at the beginning of a quarter, and then you basically are using those points to bid for a class, like to say that you are interested. So if you are more interested in a class, you would naturally bid higher. If it's a more popular class, you would want to pay higher. So it's very much like how markets outside work, where if you are interested in something, you would want to spend more money on that. So so that is how classes work, and that is how you get classes. And it often happens that you have bid a lot of points, but you still don't get a class.
Oh,
And that kind of signals to you how popular a class is, or like how limited the supply for supply of
mm-hmm,
professors teaching that class is.
mm-hmm,
um as for how it has helped me, I think given that Booth has a flexible curriculum where you craft your own journey. It's not like somebody in like an academic services or the dean of academic services is deciding what classes you should be taking. You
right,
are essentially deciding what classes you want to take. So it can happen that you, out of like 200 300 classes, you can get confused because there is so much choice.
I know.
So so the fact that there are prices based on the bidding, like you know which classes are popular, so then that kind of gives you some direction, some signal around how you should be crafting your boot journey. Like if there are popular classes, you want to investigate why those classes are popular, and then that kind of tells you how you should be evaluating other classes as well.
Right.
So so that is how I sought to like shape my booth experience, particularly in the first year, where I said, if this class is popular, I want to know why it is popular, if I should be taking it, and then like seeing if I need it, that kind of thing. There is a lot of support from academic services. So there are academic advisors
Mm-hmm,
that each student has access to, where you go and you say, this is what I want this is what I want to develop as far as my professional and personal attributes are concerned. This is what I've already taken. These are the classes I've already taken.
mm-hmm,
Could you recommend to me what I should be taking and how I should be bidding for them? So it's an entire system. And interestingly, today is when we start bidding for the next quarter. So for the
mm-hmm.
spring quarter, there is a phase when you put in your bids for courses, and today is when it will start. So, and it is going to be my last quarter. Like I
Yeah,
graduate at the end of that quarter.
right, right.
So,
But now you have become an
so
expert
it's
in
yes,
in
you
classes.
become an expert in your second year. Yes, yes.
I remember in India, you were actively involved in social work. As Prime Minister's Rural Development Fellow, you took several initiatives and contributed to the welfare of underprivileged communities. So I'm curious to know, did you get opportunities to do volunteer work at Chicago Booth?
So I think when I came to Chicago booth, I had volunteering or like being involved in the nonprofit ecosystem at booth. Um, like I wanted to do that. But I felt like there is another way that I can contribute to the booth, to the booth community, or to the community around me, essentially, by just like using my experience as a second year student, particularly to help the first year students, for example. So that would typical, and that is how a lot of learning happens at booth. So there are two examples. One is the lead facilitator program that I spoke about. I volunteered to be a lead facilitator, where you essentially say, okay, how do we want to design the leadership journey of this new first year who has come, and help them build the community with other first years. And it was a very enriching experience for me. Um the second way that as a second year I sought to pay it forward, essentially, was by helping students with recruiting. So a lot of the recruiting support, particularly in like management consulting, in like in technology roles and in investment banking, is where a second year student would kind of provide guidance to the first year student.
Mm-hmm,
So that could be in the form of telling them how their experience was, like how the first year should be, like what kind of resources they could access, how they should be like very specific things, like how they should be writing a thank you note at the end of their
Okay.
coffee chat, or like what is a coffee chat about, what is networking all about, because as international students, a lot of people don't even know what networking is, or like what it entails.
Yeah, this
While
was
both.
my, sorry, this was my second question. What challenges did
Oh,
you
I'm sorry.
face?
Yeah.
That's okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay. This is what
I'm
I,
glad we can just club the two
yeah, yeah,
questions and
yeah,
like
yeah. Yeah,
one
go
one
ahead.
answer. So
What challenges you faced as an international student, and how you are helping first year students overcome those
yeah,
challenges.
yeah. As an international student, the first challenge that you like, there are of course a lot of challenges that you face. While booth and the booth community does a great job at making you comfortable when you come, and like when you get admitted to booth, and then like when you actually come to the US, and there is and you already have friends before you come, like because you've done Zoom calls with each other, you played games with each other, all of that, all of that kind of means that you have a community when you come to booth. But you still face challenges, like a major challenge that I was just talking about is recruiting, where you don't y- first of all, you have limited roles that you can apply to. Like if you want to work in, for example, if you want to work in CPG, consumer packaged goods, it's very difficult for you to find a role that sponsors an H1B.
Mm.
So you have limited roles. But you kind of know that coming into booth. But then another challenge that you have is networking, which is a very important component of the recruiting experience. So you essentially talk to someone who's at the firm, and they tell you how their life is, like what the company, what resources the company has, how it can help you in the professional development. And and most you get some support from both career services and professional development offices, but a lot of the support is actually from second years, who have gone through this journey, who tell you how it was for them, what kind of tips and tricks they have for you. Um, and 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 then and then when you are actually when networking is done, when you are actually looking to prepare for interviews, for example, for management consulting, an interview would be called a case interview, for example. So just like just provide, and it is very much a learning by doing kind of thing, where you do case interviews and then you learn from those case interviews. So a lot of the case interviews that first years typically do, particularly in the beginning of their interview preparation, is with second years, because they know, like they have gone through this process, they know what the pitfalls are. And I gained a lot of, like I had a lot of help from my second years when I was a first year, and I kind of looked to pay it forward last November, December, January, when I was helping first years do their mock interviews, helping with case preparation, providing them feedback. So like to answer the first question, like to complete the first question, those are the two ways in which I've sought to majorly like be involved in the community.
Mhm.
Another way that I've done is just being like I have I co-chair, like I'm a co-chair of a student group. It is called the Behavioral Sciences Group. So we create events around behavioral sciences, and help to shape a community around that, because it is an area, it is a branch of science where Booth has a lot of expertise.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah. On the international, I'm sorry, like I know there is some, it could
So
be confusing, but um, so on the international like challenges as an international student questions, apart from recruiting, and the networking part of it, there is also the challenge of you being in this new ecosystem where,
yeah.
like at Booth, like 50 to 60, like I think the percentage of international students is maybe 41, 42. So like
Mhm.
58, 59% of the students are going to be Americans. So there is naturally some sort of intimidation that you could be unnecessarily intimidated because you feel like your American classmate knows better, or like knows how to navigate it, like like particularly, for example, as in India, there is some distance between the professor and the student. uh there
Yeah,
is like, it's considered respect. It's not like students in America don't respect their professors, but the way that respect is shown, or the way that interface happens, is very different. So because of that distance, it could be limiting your experience, because you're not going and asking that question to the professor, or you're not engaging with them after class, those kind of things. It did happen with me in my first year as well, but over time you see how other people behave, and you learn
right,
from them.
right.
So again, that could be a challenge, because you might feel like you don't have as much access to the professor as you actually do. Professors are very helpful, they
Very,
are very willing to engage with you.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
So
that's kind of a
that is, yeah, that is a challenge.
cultural thing.
Yes,
This
it's a
is,
it's a very cultural thing. Yeah, yeah, and that also means that you sometimes feel not intimidated. Yeah, like you sometimes feel hesitant to share your experiences, because you feel like maybe they are not great, maybe others are not interested, or like like you tend to limit your ability to share your experience.
all
Um, yeah, and all of this has actually happened with me. So
right.
if you are listening to this, and if you're coming to a business school anywhere outside of your home country, don't be worried. Share your experience, because
Yeah,
that is how others are going to learn from you as well.
exactly. Everybody has different experiences coming from different cultural background, and people will be receptive to your experiences.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they will value those experiences a lot.
Of course, that's how you learn from each other. That's how you grow in a multicultural environment.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, do you have anything else to say about recruitment? Did it meet your expectations?
Yes, it has definitely met my expectations. Like I was recruiting for a slightly more conventional, post MBA career, which was management consulting. So at Booth, like the support that you get from, so career services is the professional, like department at Chicago Booth that like focuses specifically on getting you as much access to career resources as possible. And they start their job as soon as you get an admission offer. So I think I remember the first few webinars we had was in June. Like I came to Booth in September. This was 3 months before I even stepped into, like before I was even in Chicago, where they would tell you about what you could be doing before you come to Booth. So they'll have panels where they have people who are from different industries, so that you get as much exposure to different industries as possible, so that by the time you come to Booth, which one or two industries you want to consider. And then you will get resume help, where you will have a lot of resources to fine tune your resume. I got a lot of help from you, Poonam, because when we worked on the resume, I think there was a lot of value add. And then I kind of used the same resume, that I had made for that I had built with you for my
Uh-huh.
MBA journey, or for my MBA applications, and into to actually apply to jobs after I came to Booth.
It's great to know that
Um,
it worked for the job as
yes,
well.
yes, it did. Yeah. So you get that, and then like when you come to Booth, initially there are going to be a lot of workshops where they tell you about networking, they tell you about, again the resume part, where you finalize your resume, you get a lot of personalized support
Okay.
if you want, on resumes, on recruiting strategies, on like which companies to target, which industries require what kind of like recruiting strategies, all of those. And within a month, you know what it is going to take, like what is the timeline, what should be your strategy, what you should be doing in every month of your first few months in at Booth. Then you have a lot of professional clubs. So like
Mm-hmm.
management consulting will have its own. These are all student run clubs, where whatever career services provides, this kind of the student run club complements that in a lot of ways. So there you will get like very tactical advice about like about um like which how you can decide which cities you want to, like for example, for management consulting, you have a choice of cities, like you can decide which city you want to, which office you want to recruit to. So there is a lot of advice around that. There is a lot of advice around when you should be doing what, again, like as far, but very tactically, like when you should be doing networking, when you should be doing case preparation, when you should be doing behavioral or fit interview preparation, how you should be reaching out to companies. um, if you want support, particularly around in industries where like conventional industries for MBA students, which would be management consulting, technology, investment banking,
Mm-hmm.
these three industries, you have so much resources that like that you probably would have to say no to a lot of help. You will
Wow.
get so much help that you might say, no, I don't have time for it. So that is how it is. And the good part about Booth is that you also get help for non-conventional uh, like careers, like for example, venture capital or private equity, entrepreneurship. There
Mm-hmm.
are there are there are centers for that. Like there are professional centers where a lot of interface with companies or recruiters or the industry generally happens, so that you can tap into those resources and get as much access to like roles, jobs as much as possible. Um and and yeah, I mean, like it's just about knowing what resources exist, which there are a lot
Right.
of, uh, and like just going ahead and like proactively seeking help if you need.
It's great to know they have invaluable resources to help students. And
Yes, yes.
I really like that you said you don't even have bandwidth to get so much help that they are willing to
Yeah.
offer.
Yeah, it happens in the first quarter, particularly when recruiting is at its peak for management consulting and investment banking. You have just come into business school, you don't know a lot of things. It ramps up very quickly, like things become fast paced very quickly. So then you have to, like, you are doing classes, you're doing recruiting, and recruiting has a lot of branches where you're talking to firms, you're also applying, you're
Mhm.
ensuring that your resume is good enough. A lot of things, a lot of moving parts, you know, ex a lot of moving parts move around that time. And and you get, of course, you get a lot of help, and you have to say no to it. And like that happens.
And you got into a top consulting firm, BCG, which is everyone's dream. So you did internship with them. Can you share your internship experience with us?
Absolutely. I feel very privileged that, like, first of all, this year jobs like recruiting has been tough for a lot of MBA students, and generally around the world it's been a tough time. I feel very fortunate that I was not recruiting. I'm not recruiting this year. I was recruiting last year, where it was
Right.
not so tough. Um, and uh, and like based on all the support that I got from professionals, from my seniors, essentially, I was able to prepare myself well for the networking part of it, for the interview part of it. And then like BCG was kind enough to allow me to, or to offer me an internship, and then allow me to work full time for them. The internship experience was it was it was amazing is the adjective that I want to use. But like that amazing has two parts to it. One was that it was intense, so it was like intensely amazing.
Intensely
And
amazing, right word. Yeah.
and yeah, yeah, and the second part was that it was like, um it was amazing because of all the learnings that I had. So coming from the public sector, you're working 9 to 5, 9 to 6 roles. So you're not used to the kind of quick paced work that typically happens in consulting. I think BCG did a great job at like allowing me time to learn, learn how things work, and like offering me that space, not putting a lot of pressure. And then like when I was ready to take on additional responsibilities, only then assigning me additional responsibilities.
Wow.
So that was really great. The project that I was working on was a marketing case, which was very new for me. So there was a lot of learning from that as well. And then when you're working at any major consulting firm, has so many great people and resources, um, like very very smart people, that you sometimes are in awe of their abilities, their capabilities. You're like sitting in a meeting room, and like there are all these great people with you, like very very smart people with you. You're like, they are very competent. They are so friendly and like warm with you. And that they are going to be there, like, when I actually go there full time, I'm
Okay.
going to have access to all of them. So it's going to be a lot of like conscious professional development, in a very warm environment. So it was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to going to BCG at the end of my MBA.
Great. So it's great to know your internship experience at BCG was amazing, although intensely amazing. And you're going to
It
start
was.
a full-time job at BCG as a consultant in the
Yes,
June.
I hope to start in July.
July.
But I don't know.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
I'm so
Thank you.
excited
Thank you
for
very
you.
much.
I'm really excited for you.
Thank you so much.
Lastly, can you share some advice for the incoming Booth students? How can they thrive at Booth?
Yes. Apart from the two things that I said that I should have done before coming to Booth, so future Booth students should be paying attention to that if it is relevant, like the startup summer, and being more conscious about what their partner would be doing if they have a partner, they are hoping to bring a partner along. Um, I think I would say I have like three specific pieces of advice. One is get involved. Booth has and a lot of students actually do get involved. So you would find that every student is doing either like helping people with career related aspects, or like professional aspects, or other professional aspects, or personal leadership development. Everybody's doing something, and like you want to get involved as much as possible, because that is where a lot of the learning comes, um at Booth. So that is one. Number two would be, um benefit from all the access that the University of Chicago provides to you. Like, this brings me this actually takes me back to my Booth interview, which was on the same day 2 years back. It was on the 13th of February. That so it was so I so it, this is one of the advice this is the advice that my interviewer actually, who is a Booth alum, offered me. So he said, Booth, like University of Chicago, is where, like, a lot of the critical initial work around nuclear physics happened. um I as far as, if I'm not mistaken, the first like nuclear fission reaction happened in the University of Chicago. it has a lot of history, legacy in economics and behavioral science research, um, and in physical sciences. So I feel like you want to make use of all of these resources you have when you get the chance. Like go to an event where there are going to be other students from other schools, engage with them, talk to them, understand their perspectives about the world, which is going to be very different from how you as a business school student um, understand the world. And then on a related note is my third advice to students, which is Booth as an international community. So particularly if you are from a country that has a big population, like if you are say from India or from Latin America, um, you are going to have many people that are like you. Like
Mhm.
at Booth, we probably have 100 students who are from India or from South Asia or have Indian origins, more than that maybe. So there is a temptation, or there could be a temptation to be only in that bubble, like be around people who are more like you because it's comfortable.
Yeah,
But challenge yourself to go to break out of that bubble and like engage with others who are different from you, because you are going to learn so much from them.
exactly.
And and you are going you so you're going to learn both how we are all different but also how we are all same. So it's like the underlying similarity of a lot of our beliefs, and that can break barriers. So like these are the, like you are at this great place, enjoy, and and take part in the learning experience that you signed yourself up into.
That is so precious advice. You have provided us immensely valuable information about Booth's resources, as well as how incoming students should take advantage of Booth's resources and offerings. So I cannot thank you enough for taking your time in providing this useful, helpful information for not only incoming students, but also for me.
Yes,
So thank you
it's
so
been
much.
a real pleasure, Pooja.
Yeah.
It's been a
It,
pleasure. Thank you for this.
it
I'm
was
glad.
Yeah, it was really wonderful catching up with you after 2 years. And it's amazing to see how much you have grown as a professional, as a person. And it's really wonderful to talk to you and to see your growth at Chicago Booth. So thank
Thank
you
you.
so
Let's
much for your time. And I wish you good luck in your post MBA career at BCG and continued success in your life and career.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Pooja. Thank you. I'm very encouraged by the fact that you notice those changes. I would be interested maybe at some later point to specifically know what changes you've seen. But otherwise, thank you. It was great chatting with you after so long. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You
Talk
too.
to you
Thank
later.
you. Bye bye.